Thinking is the slowest way to manifest. Assuming is the fastest. So in this video, Willow and I are going to discuss thinking less to manifest more. We're going to talk about the law of assumption, the law of reversibility, and also my favorite technique, the lullaby method. This will help you collapse time and allow your manifestations to unfold naturally and very quickly. Let's get into it. When I lost over 40 pounds and was able to keep it off and maintain the physique that I want, my ideal, I did not think more. I thought less. And it's this paradox that happens when you are in the state of the wish fulfilled. You don't think about it more. You think less. And I was pondering this idea the other day. I was like, why am I so successful in this area? Why is my relationship with food so healthy? Or why do I not have to think about exercising? Why is this just automatic? It's because I don't think about it often. It's because I don't worry about it. And oftentimes we're affirming and we're overthinking in order to compensate or feel like we're efforting or getting something done. So I want to address that. I've been receiving comments talking about feeling down because their thoughts are thinking them. They don't have control over their thoughts. And this is normal. This is understandable. And it's something that you don't have to carry for yourself. You don't have to carry this burden. So we're going to talk about the law of assumption, what it is right now and how it is different than just a thought, okay? You are not your thoughts. The law of assumption simply states what you assume to be true, if persisted in, will harden into fact. An assumption is not just a thought. An assumption is thoughts, plural, actions, plural, and feelings, plural. They are an embodiment. It is an identity. It is a state of being. An assumption is something that you accept as true without needing external evidence. Think about it in your life. If you assume that something is done, if you assume that somebody is cleaning your house, then you have thoughts that align with it. You have actions or lack thereof. You don't need to clean. And then you have feelings. You have a feeling of completion. You have a feeling of relief, a feeling of knowing that it's taken care of. And that's why this law is so powerful, is because it doesn't require you to think or effort or try to get somewhere. It is landing in the knowing. Knowing is something that is so obvious and natural. So I want to take this plant out again. If you have been following me for a while, then you know that this plant has changed a lot. This is chili powder, Aries the Third. I showed this plant a couple videos ago, and it has grown tremendously, exponentially. Why? Well, it wasn't because I was thinking about it. It wasn't because I was keeping my eyes on it and putting my awareness on the plant 24/7. I know that if I give the water to the plant on a consistent basis and I don't let the leaves droop, then it will naturally flourish. I put it by the windowsill, I give it indirect sunlight, and the plant grows on its own. It's an automatic service. And that's exactly what your desires are. Your desires are chasing you. You are not chasing your desires. It is a fact that when you stop thought and when you go into meditation, you enter the stillness, that your frequency rises. So get this, meditation, which is mindfulness, the observation of your thoughts, which in return stops thought, causes you to rise in frequency. It naturally, you don't have to do anything. That is the whole point of the plant and why I showed you that example. Everything that you want you want for a reason, and it is yours. There is a version of you that already exists that has it. So when you assume something to be true, when you assume that something is done, you don't have to think about it anymore. You don't have to keep affirming. Now, you can visualize, you can affirm if that feels good to you, but all in all, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to take on the burden of figuring out how it's going to be accomplished. The analytical mind, its only job is to select and prefer. It's just like a car, and I know that this may be too simplistic of an example, but you are the most sophisticated car in the world, and the steering wheel is the analytical mind. It just determines the direction. It just determines the focus. The engine, the subconscious mind, is the power. It is how you get there. It is the all-knowing. It is the reason for the car, the engine, the machine. So the engine, the subconscious runs about 95% of creation, and then the analytical mind is about 5%. So how do we get this coherence? How do we get it to the point where you are feeling that your desire is fulfilled? The law of reversibility, that is the second point. The law of reversibility is a law also talked about from Neville Goddard. He talks about how if a cause can produce an effect, then an effect can produce a cause. So before you found out that you can be, do, or have anything and that you create your own reality, you're probably just letting external events determine your mood. And that is when you allow the effect to be the cause. Now that you have realized and the veil has been lifted, you now know that you have Christ consciousness living in you and that you can be, do, or have anything, that your imagination is God. Now you can reverse it. You can feel the experience before it happens. And when you feel and you think those things, when you assume, that will produce the external circumstances to reflect that. Just like a mirror. If you go into the mirror and you don't see yourself smiling, it's because you're not smiling. Once you smile, the mirror has to reflect that out to you. So again, going back to when I was going through the weight loss process, this journey, I'd spent years tracking my macros. I had spent years worrying about how to be my ideal self. But then as soon as I assumed that I was that version, I started thinking thoughts, I started feeling a certain way, and I started behaving in alignment, in accordance to that version of myself. And the thoughts I was thinking was not, how do I handle this? How do I get there? It's not there. The thoughts were, it's done. The thoughts were, you look amazing. Not one thought was about, oh, you could be doing more. You are not enough. You have something else to understand. There's a big difference. The problem and the solution do not exist on the same frequency. And to further this point, I want you to think about when solutions come to you. Let's say you're learning math and you have just learned how to do multiplication and you're trying to figure out an equation, but for some reason you cannot figure out this equation. The answer will most likely come to you when you go for a walk, when you take a shower, when you're washing your dishes. Why does that happen? Because the state of being that you reside in, the relaxation, the feeling of completion, the feeling of not needing to worry about something is more important than the thoughts that you're thinking. Energy does not lie. So every time that you are stepping into the wish fulfilled, that you're assuming something to be true for yourself, you are taking on that identity and it is true now, in the present moment. You don't have to do anything more. You don't have to think anything more. In fact, you will think less. I hope that this has been helpful. I trust that this has provided clarity for you. It's not about affirming until you're blue in the face. It's about assuming that what you want does not require you to be anything more than what you are right now. Who you are is enough. Who you are, because you had the thought, means that you are able to express it in this reality. And before I go, going back to this plant, I do not need to worry about this plant. I do not need to stare at this plant and keep thinking about it in order to sustain the plant's longevity. I know that it's going to blossom. I know that it's going to continue to grow because I've assumed it so. Because I think thoughts, I have the feelings, and I put the actions in place to ensure that it's going to come to pass. Your success is inevitable. Your desires are chasing you. You do not need to do anything more. Think less, manifest more. I love you so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.